Hey, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing today? Welcome back to the second half of Conversations with Cogee. Title of the show today, I've been falsely accused, part 4, where we have Mr. Nick Yarris, who's been in prison for 23 years, but he's exoneree. He's out free and clear. We got Mr. Maurice Cardwell, who was in for 20 years. He's exoneree. He's out free and clear. And let me tell you something. These are my family members, everybody, because let me tell you something. We done all grew close together because we all are out for the fight, and we want to help other people get out of prison. And these two guys, one thing that I love about both of them, they looked back as they was walking out and told other people in prison who's been falsely accused, I got your back. Just let me get out. Let me get on my grind. Let me get on my movement, and I'll make sure to look back and pull you forward. And let me tell you something. You see, both of them on the show with me today. Maurice been with me since day one. Nick already told me he's family for life. Anything I want to do, he's here with me. Mr. Maurice Cardwell, how you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm doing good, Cogee. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Let me ask you a question real quick, Maurice. Then I'm coming to Nick, and then Miss Peaches, I'm coming to you. I wanna say this real quick, Maurice. I wanna thank you, man, for being very diligent on staying with me, and you keep me on point, and you always tell me great things that you think I should do to make this movement go even further. But why are you so dedicated, and you won't stop this, and you going to the grave with this cause, Maurice?
First and foremost, man, I accommodate you for allowing me to be a part of everything you do within your show, man. And it's people like you that keep me motivated, Cogee, you know what I'm saying? Because if it wasn't for you, you know what I'm saying, that you reaching out to a person like me that need to be reached out to, you know what I'm saying, I probably wouldn't be here now, man. But I'm just blessed. And even for Nick, Peaches, Miss J, all of them, man, you know what I'm saying, for just doing shows like this. And this, you know, it give me great pleasure, man, just to, you know, always be here, man, you know, no matter what. And like you made a comment earlier, let me just comment on it, man. You say, when me, Nick, cats like me, Nick, and them leave them prison walls, we tell them cats, you know what I'm saying, we gonna get out here and fight for them. Man, they know that because they saw us fighting within ourselves, you know what I'm saying? We never gave up fight within ourselves, and that's why, you know, even being here, man, you know, with all that positive, you know, how they say vibes, the vibes. A person ain't got to walk up and tell me I'm doing a good thing, because it's showing and speak for itself, man. And like I say, Cogee, you know what I'm saying, I enjoy your flow, man. Your flow, man, make me feel like, you know what I'm saying, somebody from the red carpet, man, from where I come from, man. And like, you know, I was reading about Nick, Mr. Yarris' story, man, and he say, you know, we come from the prison walls, and when we come out here, you know what I'm saying, it's like another life out here, you know what I'm saying? And it's a life that we got to redevelop ourselves, and when we redevelop ourselves, it's not easy, it's hard. You know what I'm saying? You know, I hear him. I sat back and read. He say he do deliveries. You know what I'm saying? Man, that's what you call that? That's a principal type of job, man. It's a job that a person that never think. You know, a person that after doing all this time in prison and this wrongdoing that has been, you know, brought upon us. Why would we get out here and start a job? You know what I'm saying? Like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like we out here to redevelop ourselves. And, you know, we need people like you know what I'm saying, to keep the lines open, keep the wings open, man, so we can continue flying, you know what I'm saying, because we got to go high, man. And, you know, it's the generation, Cogee, that you out here for, and I can't do nothing but, you know, be a part of that, man, because that's what I want, man. And same thing Nick wants,
I appreciate that.
But it's like people like you give us the purpose, man. And we gonna do here to please it, man.
Thank you.
And accomplishing it in any way, man.
Thank you. I do appreciate that, Maurice. And you know, like I said, man, we all family members, man. And let me tell you something. You know what? We all are what we are because we was born this way. We was born. See, in our mom's wombs, we was already born to, you know, help people overachieve and to help people overcome. But sometimes some of God's people got to get it the worst. So y'all carry the testimony that can make other people believe with less faith. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been through what y'all been through, but God put it in me to link up with y'all brothers, and I lead the charge and lead the fight from outside. You know what I'm saying? I'm shooting the 3-pointers. You know what I'm saying? But y'all inside working hard in the paint, doing what y'all been doing. You know what I'm saying? And with me, I got to keep it strong and keep it going from the outside, man. But I just want you to know, man, that I learn from you guys, man. I look up to you guys. And like I said, I'm in this fight with you guys. And like I said, y'all with me. And that's what it's about, you know, definitely. Let me do this real quick. Let me go to Nick real quick. Nick, how important is it for you to help people not go through that hell that you've been through and to see a light at the end of the road?
Oh, man. First of all, Maurice, I hope you really get a very good, a day of peace today because we spoke. And that's all I wanted to take a moment and say, because I was listening to Maurice, and I do understand what he means. And the hardest part of getting out of prison is survivor's guilt. And he understands this because he looked people in the face that he developed with and spent all these years with. And this man had such a good identity of himself in prison with these people who drew strength from his strength.
That's right.
And it goes back to something that I really believe in. I read the words that Nelson Mandela wrote, that he said, when you hold yourself to be no one, you make everyone else around you that less stronger. But when you hold yourself to be strong, you make everyone around you that much brighter. And that's what Maurice probably was to some really, really good people in there. And when he left, we leave that guilt behind, that we're no longer there for them. And that's been the hardest thing for me to deal with, survivor's guilt. And there's not a day that doesn't go by. Like I was with my partner, Jesse, the other day, and I saw a man at the airport who looked just like a very good friend of mine named Walter Ogrod, who's still on death row, who's still innocent, and he's been trounced so badly by the justice system that it broke my heart to see him at the airport, and it's not him.
Wow.
And that's something that I'll live with, because not what I've done or what's been done to me,
that's right,
but by the good bonds and the person that I was in prison to that person.
I hear you. You know what? And you're definitely right about that. And you know what? See, but that reflection shows with you and Maurice how y'all both jumped at the opportunity. And you know what, Nick? Let me say this real quick, but I want to make it short as possible because I need to get to Miss Peaches. Then I got to come back to you, Nick, because you know what a question I really want to ask you. And to everybody out there, hey, if y'all just tuning in, it says my show today, Conversations with Cogee. I'm the host, Cogee, and this show today is I've Been Falsely Accused, Part 4. This is Part 4. And like I said, we got Mr. Nick Yarris, we got Mr. Maurice Caldwell, who both was exonerated. And let me tell you something, they gonna let y'all know this is no joke and this ain't a game. This is not a game that we talking about right now. This is serious. People are being tucked away and put away and forgotten about. But they have this invisible shovel where they keep digging. They keep digging. They keep digging. They keep digging to the top, coming back to the surface because they refuse to die that way. I admire these guys. They make me fight hard in my life. Sometime in life, what I think is hard is nothing compared to the stories I heard from these two and the way they kept fighting. And I know I can make it through. And another reason I can make it through, because I can pick up the phone and call either one of these guys and they can tell me, oh, come on, Cogee, man, that's a small problem for a giant. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. And that's what it's about. But let me go to Miss Peaches real quick. Miss Peaches, what do you think about these two guys on the phone today?
Oh, these two guys are amazing. You know, they are my big brothers, and I'm so proud of both of them. And I appreciate so much you guys sharing your heartfelt stories, your life with us. I mean, it's not a story, it's your life. And we have so much love for you. And I just want all the women listeners, man, say a prayer for these guys. They're strong guys, but they need our love and our support and our prayers. You know, it takes a lot to do this, and it takes a lot to share the story. If you were listening in the last hour, I was in tears with Nick because he was having an emotional moment. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I appreciate you guys so much for being on here and just really telling it like it is, because some people are afraid to share their story and they're afraid to be a voice, and you guys are not, and I commend you for that.
That's right.
Thank you.
I hear you.
That's right. Thank you.
You know what? But, Miss Peaches, you also brought something up to me before the show, and I want you to say it real quick, then we're going to move on, and I'm going to go to Nick real quick. You said that you know how hard it is for a woman to lose a man, but for a man to lose everything as a man, your heart goes out to them for that. Speak on that real quick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just... I can't even imagine, because I'm not a man, and I know that you guys, true men, carry a larger burden, right, I believe, than women do, because that's the way we were created. And as a man, to know that you're spending that time behind bars and your whole family and like I said before, the whole world is looking at you like a dirty dog. And you guys know that they are wrong. And that's one thing that I love about both of you guys is both of you said, I will not say I did this.
That's right.
I don't care where it takes me. I'm not going to bow down and say that, yeah, I'm guilty or I took a part in this whatsoever. Both of you guys have said that. And I really commend you for that. That's true respect.
And you know what?
I never would.
Go ahead, Maurice.
No, I said I never would have.
That's
Right, because
You
they
know,
put you in a position, right, Maurice, where they said, just say this and we'll chalk it up as time served and you can go. And you
we'll
said,
open the
hell
gate.
no.
Yeah, we'll open the gate.
Yes, yes, and that's the difference. Like mine was to where I was going to board. Mine wasn't as like I say as hard as Nick was, but it's all hard for even to spend a day.
That's right.
In prison, you know what I'm saying? For something you didn't do.
That's right.
But no, I had the opportunity to go before board and either say I did it and show that I felt rumors, or to let them know I'm innocent. And that's what I always did from day one, every day. I'm innocent. I can never say I'm guilty if I was innocent.
That's right. You know what? You're definitely right about that. But let me say this real quick, Maurice. I want you and Nick to definitely look this person up. His name is Guy Fisher. He was on American Gangster. He wrote me a letter the other day. You know Guy Fisher?
I know that name. I seen that name on something. I do a lot of research.
On American Gangster, he's in the jail. He's in prison right now, and he's been in there for years. I mean, he's in New York prison right now, but I don't think he's in New York no more. But he wrote me a letter the other day. He sends his love out to you guys, and he's telling y'all to keep fighting. And he's got a lot of love, man, that y'all haven't forgot about the people behind the walls. And this guy's an American legend. He's on, you know what I'm saying, American Gangster and everything, man. And you know what I'm saying? Now he's a professor. He's a doctor. I mean, he's really doing it big in prison right now. He's an author. He's got so many books out, and he's going to send me some books and send me some stuff. So I'm going to be talking to him, man, and I'm going to definitely pass y'all's information to Guy Fisher, where y'all can make that connection and we can keep it going, in the prisons.
That'd be very nice. I'd like to hear from him.
All right, in the prisons and out of the prisons. But
Cogee,
Nick, yes.
I would like to respond a little bit to what Peaches was saying, and I'd like to just follow on and compliment her for her empathy for what me and Maurice and others go through.
All right.
But I really want to point out that if it wasn't for the ability to have female bonding from my mother and a woman named Jackie Schaefer, who I married while I was in prison and who visited me for 10 years, helping me stay strong, and I wouldn't have made it, because I really believe that love is intrinsic. Love is given to us at birth, and we teach children hate. And so I just bonded with that female need that I had of love, and that has given me these strengths now to have a loving relationship as I do now for the last 3 years with someone who has really found me and accepted me for all the things I've gone through and knows me for the person that I am.
I hear you.
So I think that it's the good of the outcome is what we now need to focus on, because I'm sure Maurice is really appreciating now all the bonds he has in his life, because he knows how precious they are and how fleeting they can be when they can be ripped from your life. So I'd like to follow on what she said and hope that Maurice and everyone that goes through prison finds that no matter what you found in prison, you have to still be that person on another level, on a loving level out here, and make forgivenesses for the mistakes you make out here.
That's right.
It's not like the man touched on it. It's not like I went out and just had some crazy wild life chosen for me and then I decided to become good. No, I was good all along. I just went bad for a while for hatred and anger. And when I lost that anger and hatred, I was able to go ahead and prove myself to the people around me with love. Right. And I think that's the best and redeeming part of the whole show. That if all of your guests, every one of us that's been trounced, you watch every man that you meet, like the author you just mentioned, to a man, they all want good. They all want to change for the better. So you're not going to make evil prisoners into bad people. You're going to make good people better human beings some point. And that's a really remarkable trait.
I hear you. Now, let me you know what? Let me ask you and Maurice a question real quick. And if both of y'all can answer it real quick, we can move on, Nick, to what I need to ask you. But you just put something in my head right now. Does prison rehabilitate their inmates, Maurice?
Nah, I feel you rehabilitate yourself, man, because when you go in prison, it's just like a learning experience. You learn about things that go on, and you decide to what you want to take into your life, what you want to take as a part of your prison everyday life, and you separate it, So, but within the COs and the authority figures there's no rehabilitation. You know what I'm saying? All it is structure. You know what I'm saying? Like slaves on the street with rocks. with the balls on their ankles,
Yeah.
and the red and white suits. You know what I'm saying? They just there to make sure you complete the job you're supposed to do, and all they, for is helping and support. It may be one out of 10. But rehabilitation come within yourself, man. You can make a better person within yourself, man. In a bad place. Just like what Nick said, I just want to say, he said he was in a place of hell, but he still found peace. He had peace. He maintained peace, so that was within himself. But if he would allow himself to just look at it for what it worth, a person could go insane,
That's right. That's right.
That's a very, it's exactly what is true. Everything in our lives is structure. Maurice said it. And what they do is they give you a false structure in prison to try and put this notion that you have to be rehabilitated. What it is there's too much warehousing, and then there's just too many people serving too much time. And I'm sorry, we live in a very chaotic and violent time, and people do a lot of bad things. And we should have people arrested and prosecuted and held. But we should, in that effort, try and be better than them in our treatment of them. This is where we lose the ground of morality, when we don't make that effort because of money or because of this notion that they aren't us, because they were next to you on the street before they committed the crime, and they will be back on the street next to you when they've been let free. But it's the treatment we give them that reflects back to them what they believe of us.
I hear you.
So that's a very powerful message, that in prison, it is a lot of warehousing that strips away a lot of men's will to rehabilitate. But Maurice did the right thing. He found within himself all the things that were really important, and he brought that out. And then he uses it now to reflect back to people, saying, look, one time you thought I was scum. One time you saw me as the person who needed to be in prison for the rest of his life, or however long you thought. And here I am next to you again, and I'm no different. I'm just like you. Can't you see the mistake you're making by believing that you have to be mean to me while I'm in prison?
That's right.
It's a simple message.
Y'all broke it down. Hey, like I said, y'all can tell the story better than me. And to my listeners out there, if y'all just tuning in, like I said, hey, this is the Conversations with Cogee show. I'm the host, Cogee. Hey, today's show, title of the show, I've been falsely accused, part 4. We got Mr. Maurice Caldwell, who's served 20 years in prison and who was exonerated. We got Mr. Nick Yarris, who spent 23 years in prison and was exonerated. And let me tell you something. They went through hell. But let me tell you something. Now that they out of prison, when you walk up to them and shake their hand, you don't smell hell on them. They didn't shook it off. Now they love life. Now they lovers of life. They lovers of people. You know what I'm saying? They know the system shook them up and threw them out and threw them a bad hand. But they took that hand and they played it. They played a bad hand and made it a good hand. And that's what we're telling everybody right now. You have decisions. Things that happen to you guys, you have the power to control it. Some things you can't control, but somewhere in the midst of it, you can overpower what's happening to you. And that's what these guys done. And I want to say again to both of you guys, thank you for being on the show today.
Oh,
Thank
it's a
you,
pleasure. I'm enjoying it all the way from England.
All the way from England. Mr. Nick Yarris.
Hey, listen. I have friends listening in Santa Egidia community, and in Nigeria, and all over the world. And I'm really trying to. I don't know. I'm trying to enjoy this really nice moment to connect with some nice people while saying something I hope means something to someone. There's people sitting in their homes right now who really need to hear this. I mean, they got loved ones in prison, or they have people who they're separated from, and they're saying, I hope they get that same message and they come back and they've changed and they don't want to hang out and do drugs and they don't want to screw their lives up. I hope that they listen or read this man's book, or they do anything that gets them from coming back to prison. And that's, at the end of the day, what I hope. 1 or 2 people get a message, and then they're sitting there thinking, yeah, my son has been such a tearaway. He's been such a problem, but I hope he comes home and he changes like this man. I hope I have that right to have him in my life again.
That's
and
right.
that's important to people.
That's right.
And you know what? Let me ask both of y'all this question real quick, and then we got Richard Rosen in, and we definitely want him on the show because he's going to break down a lot to all of us, and I definitely want Nick and you and Maurice to talk to him, and we all got to build this relationship because what we all trying to do, we swirling a tornado right now, and we gonna pull everything in it and throw everything out of it that ain't supposed to be. But you know what I'm saying? We definitely gonna be a force and a movement, and when we come through, we trying to tear up everything to get the negative stuff out of our way and bring the positive stuff into this whole situation that we trying to do right now, you know, with the exonerees. So we gonna do that. But I want to ask both of y'all a question right now. What does it take for people to hold on in prison when it comes to family members? Maurice, what can family members do, and what don't they understand when they not really writing these person letters, or they can't come see them? When they leave them for dead, Maurice, what does it do to your spirit and your soul? And then I'm going to come to Nick for that same question real quick, and then we're going to take a break for a second, and then we're getting Richard in. Go ahead, Maurice.
Let me just say this before I say that. Damn, Coach John, you get that deep. I don't even know. I don't even think I can answer that because you know what? It's different varieties, man. You know what I'm saying? Because you got people that, you know, run in and out of prison. You know what I'm saying? So family members have, you know, histories that they've been there for people and, you know, they don't appreciate the help because they don't do nothing with the help. And then you got people like, such as me, Nick, you know what I'm saying, and other exonerees that have never been into a prison system get snatched from, you know, society and in the prison, and then we experienced that, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like I lost a lot of family members. It was due to, you know, strain on them, you know, and friends as well, you know, for me, them being in a situation to where they never thought they'd be in to deal with me, to be running back and forth to a prison. I never thought I'd be running to prison back and forth to deal with Caldwell or Twan or Nick, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm dealing with it, it get wear off because they had prior history of it, you know?
Right.
So it's like, people go to prison, man, it's all about, like me, I never tried to, you know, have my family all the way in my corner. Just as long as my family was out here staying alive and being constructive and, you know, maintaining life. You know, that's all I ever asked for. As me being a man, I knew I had to do for myself, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
You know, it was me that, you know, may have got myself with the interest of being in prison. It was me that got myself different from outside my family. So, you know, it was just like, you lose people, man, but then again, you got to understand what people out here go through, man. We living in a life in there. We don't pay bills. We don't pay phone bills. We don't do nothing. So it's just like, we just have to understand, you know, it happens like that, you know, and that's a part of life.
I hear
you know,
you.
but you got the ones that do stay strong, you know, and, you know, I didn't need my family to be in my life or be able to come see me and send me things to let me know they still love me. I knew they loved me just by them staying strong on the street, staying alive and doing good.
I hear you, man. Thank you. Go ahead, Nick, real quick.
Now, what he's saying is true. The reality is life has to go on, and a good person doesn't want to see his mom and dad make an effort to drive 3 hours every Sunday
Yes.
to sit there and talk about nothing.
That's right. I hear
You know, and I'm sorry, and it's really difficult. I after 15, 16 years, I would get a visit on my birthday and around close to holidays, but that was it.
Right.
Because it was too much of a stress to make my parents go through the ordeal of seeing me in a glass bubble in handcuffs, only to talk about the same thing I would talk about on the telephone or in a letter.
I hear you.
Hope. Maybe this or maybe that. So that's the wearing feature on a lot of families that accept this really big ordeal of just going into the prison. Is hard on a family to see your loved one caged like that and know that they don't belong there. Puts an enormous burden on them. So after a while, I only allowed them twice to see me a year so that I spared them the expense and the emotional degrading act of seeing their loved one like that.
I hear
So it's
you.
very hard for people to understand that the prisoner doesn't need you to come and see me. I just need you to love me while I try and handle this.
I hear
And
you,
if
man.
I know that you love me, I will come back to you as best I can, the strongest that I can, to make you proud of me.
Y'all breaking
and
this
that's
down.
what me and Maurice have done.
I mean that. Hey, you know what, man? Let me tell you something. Miss Peaches, chime in real quick, and then we're going to take a break. Miss Peaches, what do you think about what they both said and broke everything down? They broke it down to us like we all was kindergartners. They made sure that we understood it. You know what I'm saying? Every word for word. So when other people hear this playback, they going to understand, you know, how to deal with their family members more better. But even when we send it to the prisoners down in the prison, which Maurice, we all going to be doing that, they gonna understand, wow, you know what, these guys really hit it on the nose. You know what I'm saying? Miss Peaches, real quick, we're gonna take a break, and I gotta get Richard in. I'm a fan of this guy, and hey, Maurice and Nick, this guy really fights for people like you guys. He fights for unfairness and makes sure that, hey, the light comes into the darkness. So, Miss Peaches, real quick, what do you think about what they said? Miss Peaches?
I think we had dead air there, young man.
Yeah, I think
Sorry
she must have dropped off.
All right.
She ain't dropped off.
Hey,
She's doing
I'm
something
very
business.
happy
She's
that
trying to get
Richard-
us a new story.
You know that's right. All right, so what we
Yeah,
going Right. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a break real quick and we'll be right back. Hey, everybody, if you just tuned in, I've been falsely accused part 4. This is the Conversations with Cogee show. I'm your host, Cogee. I got my brothers in here, my brothers in arms, Mr. Nick Yarris and Mr. Maurice Cardwell, who both are exonerees. And let me tell you something. When I say these are fighters, these are some real freedom fighters. But hey, like Nick said, I'm not no hero. I'm just a guy that cared. Maurice feel the same way. But in my book, y'all heroes, man. Y'all make me proud to be a man because I watched y'all go through hell, but y'all stood strong like men are supposed to. You know what I'm saying? Like every father hopes that their son will do when it comes to defeat. Y'all stood strong and y'all kept y'all's, y'all's wits, and y'all outsmarted a system that was meant to beat us down. But y'all kept that faith. That's what I mean by outsmarted. Y'all just kept the faith and knew God's word would prevail in time. So, hey, everybody stay tuned in. And like I said, y'all going to learn from this. But one thing I always say, this show is very important. Get your pens and your paper. Write down this information because the life that you save one day just might be your own. We'll be right back. Hey, we back, everybody. Welcome back to Conversations with Cogee. I'm your host, Cogee, and you're right. It is time for America to hear the truth. It's time for America to hear the lies. It's time for America to definitely let up off our people in the street. You know what I'm saying? And definitely see things for what they are. Because I look at it like this. They have so many exonerees that done got out. Why keep putting your face in the ground and making a justice system look so bad when you can do the job the first time and then you win the honor of all the people in the world because they feel like this is a justice system that's fair? I don't understand why, I know why they do it. They just got to have a conviction on somebody and put somebody away just to close the case. But it goes back to what Maurice had talked about on the phone to me the other day and what Nick had talked about. When you put the wrong people away, you say you have justice for this whole world and for our cities, but there's no justice in leaving a serial killer, a rapist, a person that's doing all this. You leaving him free. You putting my children in danger. You putting and you know what? They never think about this, Maurice and Nick. They leaving their own family to be hit by these people. Because let me tell you something, these kind of crimes and all the stuff that they think that these exonerees done, this stuff will hit it can hit their neighborhood as well. It can hit their homes as well. But they don't believe that it can happen to me. That's what's strange to me, that you would leave this person out so bad, you know what I'm saying, that you would just crucify the whole system by putting somebody in wrong, spending $1 billion of taxpayers' money to fight against somebody and frame somebody, and you know that ain't right. So, Miss Peaches, let's do.
That's a real point because the victim's family got trounced just as bad as mine. If you think about it, the Craig family lost their mother, their daughter, their sibling, and then they were shown me as the evil image of the man who took that person from them.
Right.
While professional people, knew that was a lie.
That's right.
So they not only victimized the Yarris family, they victimized the Craig family, and that's a point that you very hit on keenly with that, because people don't realize for everyone who is exonerated, there's 140 guilty people that have either gotten away with it or have made that person suffer twice.
That's right.
And that's the shame, because when there was clips earlier in the program of me being in the movie After Innocence, and part of it was that I used to go out to the courthouse and demand that the DNA that set me free be put into the system to catch the man that did the crime, because they weren't willing to do that, because they were worried about a lawsuit aimed at them should they actually catch the man.
That's right.
So I would go out every Monday with a bullhorn and alert people in front of the courthouse that they weren't doing their job like they promised the Craig family. So I ended up fighting for the Craig family. Now you tell me how crazy of a system it is when I have to bully the the Delaware County authorities into doing the DNA work they should have done long before I was set free.
Right.
And that's the shame of it.
You know what? You're right, Nick. But let me tell you something. Miss Peaches, I want you to roll the red carpet for Richard Rosen, because this is one of the guys that we definitely need on our side. This is one of the guys that we have on our side, and I have so much respect for this guy. And Maurice and Nick, this is a guy that definitely fights for you all and fights for many exonerees with a lot of great knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And he's already saying the justice system is full of crap, you know, with a lot of stuff that's going on. So, Miss Peaches, go ahead, roll the red carpet, and let's get him right in.
Richard Rosen is a retired professor emeritus of law. He started off his career as a public defender in Washington, D.C., before spending 30 years on the faculty of the University of North Carolina Law School. During his time at the school, he represented a number of clients on death row, as well as other indigent defendants who had been treated unfairly by the criminal justice system. He helped found the Innocence Project at UNC Law School and the NC Center on Actual Innocence. So we'd like to welcome Mr. Richard Rosen to the show.
How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, thanks. It's really inspiring to hear your guests talk about where they are and what they've been through.
Yes, sir. You know what, Richard, I want to say thank you for being here with us today, and thank you for being a part of this movement that me and Maurice and Nick that we're doing right now, and the whole world. I mean, we all have an invisible hand chain going right now all around the world, just showing love. And I want to thank you for stepping into the fight and shining a light on this whole situation. Why does it mean so much to you, Richard, to hear these guys free and talking on the phone from their homes instead of calling from prison?
Well, I think there are a couple of reasons that it means so much. One is that it's just the human fact that these are people who were snatched out of the world,
yes,
put
sir.
in prison, could have been my child, could have been your brother,
That's right.
could have been almost anybody, and taken out and were freed. And that's a wonderful thing in itself. But I think, for me, the message I want to get across is they're not the only innocent people in prison. I mean, there are a lot of people in there, and, in Nick's case, there was DNA to test. If somebody had tossed that out, if it had been a different sort of murder, without a sexual crime where DNA evidence was left, he'd still be in prison today. And so I think one of the things that's so important is we all realize that there are innocent people who are in prison, some of whom get out and some of whom don't.
Right.
And I had a client who was exonerated because they had DNA testing, and we found the evidence almost by accident. And he got out. I have another client who was convicted of a murder where there was no DNA testing to do, and they won't let him.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, is Richard still on here?
Hello?
Wait a minute. Richard.
Yeah, we've lost Richard there.
Wait a minute. You know what? This is what we'll do. I'm going to let them fix the phone lines real quick, but we'll keep on talking. You know what? I'm going to go to Maurice real quick. We're just getting the phone lines cleared up. Maurice, how important is it to have somebody like Richard, calling in today?
Man, it's very meaningful and it's very important, man, because, there's people out there, man, that need to really understand. You got people that's out there that know the law and that's very into the law, that know it's things like this that need to be paid attention to.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
right.
for him to be on this show, and any other, people that, speak, about the system that other people don't want to open their eyes and understand and step up to the mic and speak or, make a movement against, he's very important, to be on the show, man.
Okay.
And have a voice.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I cut myself off. So
Okay.
I'm back.
All right.
Hello, Richard. Hello, Richard. It's very nice to hear your voice.
That's Nick.
And I'm very grateful for you spending time for us tonight. And I would like to say that a follow-on for what the professor was saying is that there is an admitted 5% conviction rate that is faulty or admittedly wrong in the United States. Okay, so they get it right 95% of the time. But there are 2 million people incarcerated in the United States. And if 5% is innocent, we're talking almost 60 to 70,000 people. And of that, 10% are convicted of murder and other serious events that can cost them their lives. So we're talking not just a mere few people like Maurice and I, we're talking an admission by the government that today, currently, we can expect upwards of 60,000 people around the United States currently innocent for crimes they did not commit or have been charged way in excess of crimes they should not have been charged with.
Okay.
Now, these are really degrading numbers when you take it on to year after year of new convictions. Over the last 20 years, over 500,000 people have been convicted of crimes they did not commit.
Richard.
And, Nick, if the state of Pennsylvania had their way, you'd be dead.
That is true, because they made a very sincere effort, and the professor will tell you this. A lot of times what happens is when a criminal defendant seeks to do exonerations, a lot of the prosecutorial misconduct that takes place is protected by immunity. And this allows them to behave badly in situations where they destroy evidence, withhold prior statements. We found over 100 cases where exonerated people have had exculpatory evidence at the hands of the prosecutor 15 to 20 years before they were released. And that kind of behavior is a very powerful message to prosecutors who know they can get away with it because they're protected under state law. And unfortunately, the one problem with the United States judicial system is it is politically motivated by people like Barry Gross, who motivated his career from a Delaware County prosecutor to become a federal prosecutor, and the Judge Kelly became a federal judge by sentencing me to death in a very high-profile manner.
Right.
These things are very politically motivated to their career, not to justice, and that is the shame where they sell out society. That's
right. Wait a minute. Richard, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think Nick has hit it right on the head, is that it is a scary number of people who are in prison and who are innocent. And these are not... I tend to look at the DNA exonerations like Nick's as kind of a random sample of our criminal justice system. You know, this is a certain group of people who were convicted using the same sort of evidence they used to convict anybody else. And they had scientific evidence that was available in these cases, and when we went back and looked at them, we found a frighteningly large number of them were in fact innocent. And it's scary to think of, of all the people in prison who might be innocent who don't have the DNA evidence to test. And I think Nick is right. When you add up those numbers, it
Cogee, if you think about it, we've only had DNA testing since 1987. So if we take it back 20 years before that, before the serology and other methodologies have been implied, we've gotten it wrong a lot more than that.
That's right.
And we didn't know it. Because there's people today, this is still bothering me. I was the 140th person exonerated by DNA. And yet, what is the number? 230? So 90 more people had to go through excruciating battles when it should have been automated. I'm sorry, but at this point, technologically, we should not have anyone in prison with any biological evidence still remaining untested.
That's right.
And that should have been a mandate by the new president at the time in 1990 when we were getting the DNA, but it was a Republican administration. And what you don't want to do is hold yourself up to folly. So we've never had any political support. There's no legislation that mandates that anyone who's been sentenced to a murder prior to a date of this set date should have had mandatory DNA anyway given to him by the state without charge or difficulty. And this is the problem. We've had cases where people have lingered in DNA cases for 15 years like mine because of money.
You know what?
Because of money that they didn't want to spend for DNA testing. I was told my life wasn't worth the $3,200 to ship evidence to California for DNA evidence.
Oh, man. You know what? Let me ask you guys something on the phone. I want to ask everybody something. Nick, Richard, and Maurice. Is it all about, at the end of the day, from what I'm hearing, how many things get swept under the rug, how many things get pushed back, how many, times they feel like your life ain't worth this? Is, at the end of the day, is it all about winning high-profile cases?
No, I hate to jump in. This is really important. It is white noise at this point. Our society in America, especially, is so chaotic with violence that it's so easy to get away with misbehavior just to get people into the prison cells, and that's where we're selling out. We need
Well, let me
better
add
support
one.
for the police.
Wait a minute.
I really want this message to come through. We need better support for the police. We need to make them better people so that they get it right at the very point of contact with human beings. We need to be out there saying thank you to the police and making them feel secure and supportive, because they are the contact person. When you pick up the phone and say, my mom's being attacked, help, they come and get it right. They don't come and lie to you and pick out someone wrong. They want that support from you. And I think the message here isn't just about the incarcerations and I've been wrongly accused. It's also we need to look at every part of the judicial system and the prosecutorial systems and say, how can we make it better?
Okay.
How do we lend our support in a positive way?
I hear you.
And the professor will tell you, if you take a police officer and put him in good mind and give him support, he will get it right. If you turn against him and shun him and make him feel as if he's embattled, he will get it wrong.
Right. Hold on, Nick. Wait a minute. Go ahead, Richard.
Okay, a couple of things, and one of them is that I think when I look at wrongful convictions, I divide them into two categories. There are cases like Nick's, and I don't know Maurice's, but so I can't speak to that, where there really was misconduct by police officers or prosecutors. They swept things under the rug, they hid things. Those are the cases where I blame on bad actors for whatever reason. You know, sometimes they know that the person, I think most of the time they actually believe the person's guilty and they're willing to stretch things to convict them, but I don't know that for sure.
Right.
Those are some cases. And there are other cases, and certainly the Ronald Cotton case I was involved in is one of them, where it really was not the basis of misconduct. It was human error.
Right.
It was the fact that we're human beings and we make mistakes. And I think this is most important to realize with the death penalty cases, where we're really talking about taking a person's life, is that nobody believes, I mean, if you talk about being right 95% of the time, you're feeling pretty good in your judgments if you're right 95% of the time. If you're right 95% of the time in a criminal case, you've got 50 or 60,000 innocent people in prison, and you've got a couple hundred on death row, or at least 40 or 50 on death row.
Right.
So who are you going to kill? You're going to kill 40 or 50 innocent people. In most places, that would be a massacre.
Yes, it would.
And so one of the things is that to understand that we may be able to change some of this by changing incentives, by punishing prosecutors or police officers who act badly, and we need to do that, but we're always going to have an imperfect system because ultimately we're depending upon the judgment of human beings.
But you know what?
Hold
on. Can I ask you a question, Richard? Mm-hmm. We worry about terrorism in our own coming to our country, but we have it in our court system. So they terrorists, they just killing up everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can you speak on that?
I think that part of the problem is, having been in the court system for all these years, part of the problem is if you're right 95% of the time, you have a tendency to think you're right 100% of the time.
Right, I hear you.
And so you go after people, and you assume that the people you're going after are guilty, and they're trying to use tricks, and that they're I don't know of the police in Nick's case. In most of my cases, most of my experience, the police really believe the guy is guilty, even when he's not. Right. They get focused too early on the wrong person, and they go after him. And sometimes they'll never admit that they were wrong, even when DNA testing shows that they were wrong. So I think that there part of that is trying to raise the awareness, which Nick is doing, and y'all are doing such a good job of, that the system is not perfect.
Yes.
Okay. I follow on with that a little bit as well.
Wait a minute, everybody. We down to 5 minutes, so we got to make everything quick. That somebody say.
Okay.
Go ahead, Nick.
I would say something, Coach.
Wait a minute. Go ahead, Maurice. Hurry up.
I want to respond to what you said
Maurice.
earlier. Okay, let me just say this here, man. The system falls for a breakdown in the system when it becomes no accountability. You got lawyers, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you got district attorneys, and you got the judges, you got homicide inspectors, you got narcotic officers, you got people that's on the street that's human too.
That's right.
That have human ideas and human faults.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Just because a person is a police officer, I don't look at him as no perfect person.
That's right.
Because he has faults and he has errors as well. But now, due to his job, As him being a homicide inspector, he should never let his faults or his errors get in blindness with tunnel vision and convict a person on him being, I think this person did it. I'm a 99% because I always been 98% before. You cannot do that in the system. Let's go by the evidence. You know what I'm saying? And you remember how we used to beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's no doubt. You know, it's circumstantial evidence that sent people to prison. I never had DNA in my crime, but it was a witness that had different stories, and it was a person that admitted to the crime that they just didn't want to go and convict because they didn't have nobody of a positive history to say that's the person I seen him. All the people that were saying it wasn't me was the people that grew up in my environment, from the projects, from the ghetto. You know what I'm saying? And that was a bad. A bad look anyway. You know what I'm saying? They want upstanding people. All right, go ahead.
Wait a minute, Maurice. We down to 3 minutes. Nick, take a minute of it real quick, and then I got to go back to Richard. But, Richard, are you able to cross over into my next hour with me?
Yeah, you need me to.
Okay, good. So, Nick, go ahead. You got a minute of it real quick.
Okay, I first just thank both of you guys, and Richard especially, for spending time to call in. I think we covered so much so well.
Yes, we have.
I'm just very impressed, and I'm very grateful for this opportunity to speak to all of you. And I'm really hoping to do further work with you, and I hope in the future we can speak again.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, we definitely going to do that. I mean, me, you, and Maurice, and like I said, Richard, everybody who's in right now, every time we have a show, we definitely got to bring the support because we've been the ones leading the fight. You know what I'm saying? So every show, our voices must be heard. You know what I'm saying? And
well, good news. I'm actually moving out there, so I'm going to move to Bakersfield, California
that's
in the near
cool.
future. So
okay.
I might actually be a radio host with you someday, young man.
Okay.
I'd love to do this. I love radio, and I'd love to have a show like yours. And I wish you all the best in the future with your show.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Maurice, real quick.
Hey, Coach, you know what, man? We need a show on DA stepping up to the plate and understand it would need to be held accountable, man, instead of just continue to hide behind, you know what I'm saying, the non-accountability, man. It can't be they're immune to it, man. We need to, go over that line, man. A DA need to step over that line and say, I don't want to be immune if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I want to be held accountable. That way, it'll be guidelines, man.
That's right.
No accountability and no prosecution on a person being wrong. A DA could come into a court with an attitude and do the case wrong and manipulate the system in the case and have a person death on death row. Anything.
Wait a minute. Yeah, you definitely right about that. And we sure better pray that everything go right with him and his wife coming to court that morning. Because if they have a bad day at home, it might be a bad day at work. You definitely right about that. So, hey, everybody, we're going to cross over into our third hour. Hey, title of the show today, I've Been Falsely Accused. Part 4, we got Mr. Nick Yarris. Like I said, he's definitely bringing it today. We got Richard Rosen, who's definitely bringing it for helping exonerees get out, bringing the right information forward. We got Mr. Maurice Cardwell, who's definitely bringing the truth. And we, like I said, what more can I say about these guys? These guys are definitely here bringing the truth and helping to overcome a lot of stuff that's going on nowadays. So stay tuned in. This is our third hour, and we're going to finish shining a light on this whole situation. You're listening to Conversations with Cogee, and we'll be right back.